Greetings and salutations, mappers, and welcome back to the Great Aceattorney Chronicles. Last time, we joined with, Sholmes and Professor Mikotoba to investigate the steamship, where... Oh, apparently the grouse was not a gentleman's club, it was a steamship. Kind of big deal. And, Kazuma was there with Gregson to be an assassin. Pretty big relations. Anyways, yeah, and then we switched perspective to Sholmes and Mikotoba, where we investigated the room where Judge Jigoku stayed during his trip, and discovered the bullet, or not the bullet, the bullet leavings, the traces of the bullet. I really hate how my keyboard's like larger than the little pull-up part. What else? Oh, and he was hiding in a trunk, hoping that he could get away from us. Anyways, let's figure out why he was hiding. What secrets lie behind the beard? Seshiro. I was really hoping beyond hope not to find you here, you know? I don't remember what voice I gave. I don't think I gave him the stereotypical judge voice because he looked younger. But I kind of gave like everyone the same voice at this point. But you're not entirely unsurprised, are you? I take it. No, quite. I just wish it were some other way. Well, are you ever going to introduce me? Ah, your reputation precedes you, Mr. Sholmes. I read stories of many of your exploits. Excuse my manners, Sholmes. This is Mr. Jigoku, my old friend and traveling companion. The devil is in the details, Mikotoba. I believe you meant to say your old friend and traveling companion. Who made the cowardly decision to flee the country without a word to anyone when things turned sour. I see my reputation precedes me as well. What an honor. Well, Cicero, are you going to explain all this? You know it all by now, I imagine. What you didn't know, of course, is that 3 days ago, on the night before our arrival in Britain, an attempt was made on my life here, on this very ship. By the Reaper of the Bailey? Yes, I've since heard. Because you were once prosecuted by the Reaper, weren't you? 10 years ago now, mind you. And I had no idea at the time what a dangerous individual he was. Anyway, when we arrived in London to find the symposium was postponed until goodness knows when, it became all too apparent to me that I might very well be targeted again. So you decided to flee the capital without saying a word to me about it? I'm afraid so, yes. Of course, I realize now that I really ought to have confided in you. It's somewhat surprising, I must say. What is? Well, first-class cabins aboard luxury steamships are in very short supply. It's more than a little hard to believe that this one just happened to be available. So says the protagonist of some colorful short stories. Well, I don't care for your opinion. The cabin did just happen to be available, so I purchased a ticket here, and here I am. I've just seen for myself the obvious remnants of that incident in this cabin. Wow. So, you'd already purchased your return ticket before we even docked in Dover, had you? To prevent anyone else taking this cabin and seeing the evidence. Is that it? Yujin, I have nothing to say to you. Well, in a mere 5 minutes, the ship will set off on its onward voyage and not make port again until Italy. I'm afraid we must insist you disembark with us at once. You have no jurisdiction over my movements. We have this, Cestro. Take it. What is it? It's a subpoena from the Old Bailey. You're a man of the law. You know what the ramifications of ignoring a document like this from the British courts would be. You came prepared then, Eugene. Come on, let's go. One moment. What is it, Sholmes? Inside Mr. Jigoku's trunk. I found this rather fascinating trinket. What is that? Cestro? I can't help you, I'm afraid. Some small component from something. But what? I have no idea. I look on his face. I think he genuinely doesn't know. Well, let us pocket it as a small souvenir of our brief sojourn in France. The small component has been entered into the court record. Ow. Well, young Naruhodo, I think we've done as much as we can, I'm afraid. The rest will be on the shoulders of you and your assistant. November, 12:10 p.m. The Old Bailey courtroom. Kazuma Sogi. I know you, and I know you wouldn't lie, but still, there's no doubt that you're holding something back. You know more than you're saying. During the past 30 minutes, while this court was adjourned, all possible efforts were expended. But sadly, Mr. Jigoku's whereabouts could not be ascertained. We must accept the unfortunate conclusion that the Reaper has already done the deed. There's no sense in wasting any more of the court's time. The prosecution calls for an immediate verdict.
Objection!
No, the trial cannot end now. You're a Japanese man, Rinosuke. You should know when to lay down your sword. That's like the one thing Japanese men are known not to do. Aren't they known for like Bushido and like fighting to the death? Like literally in unwinnable situations, to rather die honorably than live in shame or whatever. That's like a whole thing. And you should know never to presume when the battle is won. The court has already been presented with all the evidence and heard all relevant testimony. And there can only be one conclusion: that the accused is guilty. All relevant testimony? Far from it. There's still a crucial witness, from whom the court is yet to hear a single word of testimony. In that case, call your witness to the stand at once, counsel. Yes, my lord. Tomorrow, if possible. The witness is already on his way and is scheduled to arrive tomorrow. Who on earth is this crucial witness? Seshiro Jigoku. The very man allegedly murdered by the Reaper. Does Jigoku? You found him? But the investigation of every policing resource in the capital suggests that Jigoku is already dead. How in the name of God did you find the man? Man, you are so incompetent. He was located in France during the recess, at the port of Dunkirk, thanks to one of Mr. Herlock Sholmes' famous deductions. Herlock Sholmes. Inspector Gregson almost certainly met with Mr. Jigoku on the night of his death, because along with Prosecutor Sogi, Gregson was on a mission to assassinate the man. Which means that Sessho Jigoku is the sole witness who can clarify exactly what happened aboard the SS Grouse on the 31st October. Well, it would appear that it's too soon to move to education at this point. Sadly, I am not a fellow Speedroid user. I'm sorry, I have misled you somehow. The prosecution concurs. The court must hear Mr. Jigoku's testimony. No judgment should be passed until all testimony has been considered. I'm sorry. In that case, I hereby call the end of today's proceedings. Court will reconvene at the same hour tomorrow. No objections from either side? No, my lord. No objections, my lord. We live to fight another day. By the skin of our teeth. Oh wow, that was closer to the end than I thought. The unexpected halt of proceedings sent a clamor around the courtroom. But outside the bailey, where Londoners knew nothing of the secret trial within, it was a typical still night. Then, at a little past 8 o'clock in that evening, Mr. Sholmes and his partner returned to Baker Street. Oh, what a feast! 3rd November, 8:07 p.m. Sholmes' suite. We have returned, my dear fellows. Welcome back to Britain, and thank you for your timely help. Think nothing of it. I believe you've had an even more wearing day than Mikotoba and I, no? You could say that. We were on the brink of defeat in court earlier. So, this prosecutor, Asogi, had you on the ropes, did he? And he's your best friend, you say? Well, he's not really the man I knew in Japan anymore. Kazuma's changed. Oh, Mr. Naruhodo. I mean, it's incredible. To think that he'd even entertained the idea of acting as a Reaper's assassin. Well, nevertheless, you must introduce me. After all, I've only met the young man as a corpse. When all this started, almost a year ago now, Mr. Sholmes still hadn't told us the truth about what really happened back then. About the motivation for what he himself described as a great detective's lie. Now then, I must say, it's really quite a journey all the way to France. Well, it is another country, Mr. Sholmes. So, what news of Judge Jigoku? We took him to Scotland Yard. The investigating detectives there have we took him to Scotland Yard. The investigating detectives there have a lot of questions for the man. Poor Professor Mikotoba. This must be quite a shock for him. Ah, yes. I picked this up at the telegraph office on our way home. What is it? Surely you haven't forgotten already. I put upon you for the matter only yesterday. You put upon me, Sholmes. I had to fill out your telegram to Japan and foot the bill as well. Oh, you've had a reply already? What was so urgent though, Mr. Sholmes? Such matters can wait until later. I'm far too hungry for an involved conversation at present. Well, that's good news, because supper is ready, everyone. Ah, and what a feast it is. If I were none the wiser, I'd think the trial were won already. Roast beef, kippers, stew, steak, and kidney pie. Yorkshire pudding. Tomorrow could be a very long day, so eat up. In that case, I think I'll seat myself just here. This place appears to be the only seat with a helping of pheasant as well. That's no pheasant, that's huge! Oh, sorry, Hurley, not there. Why ever not? Are we in set places this evening? Yes, and that place is for Susie's daddy. For me? That's right. I made it especially for you, Professor Mickey. I see. Well, that's terribly kind of you. It's a shame, really. What do you mean? Well, for a brief moment, I believed it. That Susie and I were half-sisters, I mean. Oh! Alice, do you mean... Yes, I know now. I overheard you yesterday. Oh, well, that's a lot less impressive. I secretly listened in to the conversation you had after I tricked you all into thinking I had left. What? What? Well, see, that's professional gaslighting. The misunderstanding arose because of that autopsy report from 10 years ago. But actually, it turned out that neither Dr. Wilson nor Professor Mikotoba are Aris's father. Yes, about that, Aris. You know, I know. You can't tell me at the moment. Oh, Aris. Wait, is she the daughter of Clint then? That'd be close. The pheasant is by way of an apology. I'm sorry for eavesdropping. Oh no, that's quite alright. Then why don't I get any apologetic pheasant? So just who is Aris's father? I suppose that's not something we'll be finding out today. So then, let us dine, while our largely pheasantless plates are still piping hot. A fine idea, Sholmes. It all looks absolutely delicious. Eat as much as you like. There are always seconds. This could be our last chance to ask questions before tomorrow's trial. About that telegram from Japan, and about Kazuma. I can't let this opportunity slip away. Mr. Sholmes, what are you doing? Surely it's abundantly clear. that I wasn't brooding over Mikotoba's refusal to share his pheasant with me. Nevertheless, I felt the need to withdraw from the social circle for a while and look on with hungry eyes. Sorry, Hurley. I cooked that pheasant especially for Susie's daddy. Even though I've played the role of father to you for far longer. Mr. Sholmes, could I discuss some things with you? Certainly, my dear fellow. I find myself quite in the mood for a spell of conversation. No doubt, you're hungry to learn more of my deep love of game. I can probably contain my curiosity on that one. You needn't look at me in that fashion. In what fashion? It seems that before we discuss the pheasant, we have some rather unpheasant matters to discuss. The telegram from Japan. So, what was that? What was in the telegram you received back from Japan then? Ah, this? I thank my lucky stars it arrived in time. Record found as indicated. Duplicate follows. K. Asogi, A. Shin, T. Gregson, J. Wilson. Interesting. What? Those 4 names. We've come across that exact same list before. It came up in that unforgivable case last spring. What appeared to be a simple case of aggravated murder turned out to be a masking monumental intrigue. Well, I don't know why that didn't parse me. A plot that involved the sale of British governmental secrets to foreign states. In exposing the means by which those secrets were being leaked, he deciphered a fragment of the message. Kiyosogi, A. Shin, T. Gregson, J. Wilson. We didn't find the names out until the case was over, and we never did get to the bottom of what they meant. All we knew was that the information had been sent by somebody in the British government to somebody in Japan. So, why are the names coming up again now? Yes, where did the sender of your telegram discover them, Mr. Sholmes? I have here the message I had wired yesterday. Allow me to read it to you. Enter Judge Yakuku's office undetected and investigate telegram records. Expect to find communication from Britain dated 1 year ago. List of 4 names. Need by tomorrow. Naruhodo. I sent it to a detective I know who specializes in clandestine missions of this nature. You asked Inspector Hosonaga to undertake such an onerous task for you? And in my name? I wonder what guise he opted for this time. My dear fellows, it was a matter of great urgency, you understand. Anyway, the list of names was found in Seshiro's office, as Sholmes predicted. So you mean that mysterious collection of names that was sent from Britain to Japan was... It was sent to Judge Jigoku. He was the intended recipient. I don't believe it. But that doesn't answer the question of what the list of names actually signifies. I did formulate a hypothesis about that. But without a shred of evidence, I couldn't possibly have shared it. Mr. Sholmes looks deadly serious for once. A telegram from Japan has been entered into court record. Kazuma's dead. That tragedy we had to go through on the SS Bureau. It was all for nothing. Kazuma wasn't dead at all. We were completely taken in by the lie you told us. Your great detective's lie. I took no pleasure in deceiving you. However, at that time, all that concerned me was preventing the young man's study tour from taking place. Whatever the cost. What? I capitalized on the events that transpired to see that he was sent back to Japan. His remains, you mean? Precisely, Miss Susato. And then, I made sure that somebody else was sent to Britain in his stead. Oh my, you mean... The arrangement between our two countries was already in place. One university student lawyer and one judicial assistant to be accommodated on the study tour. In other words, by arranging for someone else to fill the place originally intended for Mr. Asogi, I would successfully prevent the man from arriving on our shores for several years at least. Wait, do you mean to say that it was all in aid of stopping Kazuma from coming to Britain? That's why you... Think back, Mr. Naruto. Was there not somebody who quite casually urged you to continue on the voyage to England? I have no idea what voice I gave him. I'm pretty sure of the weenie voice. In fact, it might be the same voice. The terms of the stay tour were negotiated by the Department of Justice in both Great Britain and Japan. In the light of Mr. Asogi's unfortunate death, I'm afraid the stay tour can no longer go ahead. My dear fellows, the majority of problems have an extremely simple solution, you know. All you require is one lawyer, and the study tour can continue, surely. But there is no one else with the necessary qualifications, Mr. Jones. We know of no other lawyer. The voyage to London still promises a good month of time. Ample opportunity, I would say, to find out yourselves another suitable lawyer. So, you manipulated me? I've often remarked on the extraordinary lengths to which friendship would drive a man. I was quite sure that you would rise to the challenge for your late friend. I don't believe it. But if it was all contrived, I mean, what happened was treated by the authorities as murder. A woman was mistakenly arrested as the perpetrator. What do you suppose became of her? Naturally, I didn't allow the misapprehension to have any serious repercussions. I subsequently explained everything and assisted the unfortunate soul in finding the foreign refuge she sought. I seem to remember Miss Susato and I had some rather strong words for her. Well, she was certainly not devoid of all guilt. She deserved every word, I'm sure. I wonder if she made it to America, though. I'm afraid I simply cannot comprehend it. Why would you go to such lengths, Mr. Sholmes? Why were you so determined to stop Kazuma-sama from reaching Britain? The truth is, 12 months ago, there was already a very tangible omen of the impending tragedy, you see. Oh! An omen that, at this very moment in time, is close at hand. An omen of all these tragic events that already existed a year ago is close at hand? Will you find out exactly what Mr. Sholmes knows? Wait, what? Not... So I had to present something? Is it the Asogi papers? Mr. Sholmes, would you mind looking at this? This is hardly the time, Mr. Naruto, as I'm sure you will appreciate. Oh, no, of course not. My attention is entirely drawn to one single matter now. The pheasant. Anyone would think you hadn't eaten in weeks. Okay, not the autopsy report. Doesn't look like a device of any sort. It looks like a knob. You see these little things all over the place, don't you? It's the part on the top of a pocket watch that you twist to set the time, isn't it? It's called the crown, I believe. A watch would be quite useless without one. The crown? Like what sits on top of a monarch's head? That's a very grand name for such a tiny heart. But actually... Yes, Mr. Naruto? If this is a crown, I have a feeling I might have seen a monarch around here somewhere with a very bare head. If by monarch you mean a pocket watch, then I'm quite sure you have. Oh. Oh, oops. What do you think, Mr. Sato? I feel sure I know exactly what will fit here. Really? I was just thinking precisely the same thing. Twinsies! We're about to see that the little round component is actually part of Inspector Grayson's broken pocket watch. Really? I was just thinking precisely that too. My god. A perfect fit. I knew it. Alright. Perhaps you knew it. I'll make a note of this new information at once. Details of the small component have been updated in the court record. Okay, not the sword. Not the Redhead League article. Okay, not the photograph. Man, I have no idea what he wants. The notice board? I am stumped here. Oh, of course. There was no room for doubt with your instructions in this telegram, Mr. Sholmes. You were very clear that it was Judge Jikoku's office that should be searched, so you obviously knew. That's where this list of names would be found. T. Asogi, A. Shin, T. Grayson, J. Wilson. But we only learned of those 4 names just over 6 months ago now. And only because they appeared as part of the top secret government communications that were leaked. That's true, yes. But at the time, you were unaware of the background. You see, those 4 names were wired to Japan. Around 6 months before that, approximately this time last year in fact, when you both were still in Japan. It really would be hypocrisy on my part to reprove others for intercepting state secrets. Because after all, I'm perpetually eavesdropping on communications between the British and Japanese governments. Man, that is super illegal. You're perpetually doing what? How? Never mind the details, but you should know. No secret is safe from her like Jones. when he has designs on knowing it.
Oh my, Mr. Sholmes, what a fabulous line.
Now, 1 month after that list of 4 names was wired to the recipient, Jigoku, in Japan. After John H. Wilson was murdered. As soon as I learned of the incident, my hypothesis rapidly took shape in my mind. As it turned out, I was partially correct, and partially mistaken. Nevertheless, it was the beginning of all the tragic events that were to unfold.
Mr. Sholmes, please, tell us all you know. Tell us about these 4 names and the tragedy to which they're all somehow connected.
4 names.
As I said, when I learned of Dr. Wilson's murder in Japan, my mind immediately turned to those 4 names, because you see, there was someone else on the list who I believed to be recently deceased.
What? Who?
Ei Shin, as it was transcribed in Japanese script. In actual fact, Miss Asa Shin. That was a familiar name to me. She was a professional killer, well known among London's unsavory classes.
Oh, I see.
But she had completely vanished from existence several months before Wilson's murder. So I came to the logical conclusion that she had herself been killed. And accordingly, I became fearful for the lives of the remaining 2 persons on the list. Kei Asogi and T. Gregson. Owing to our proximity, I decided to take measures to protect Gregson myself. I determined it would be safest if young Asogi were to stay away from Britain.
So that's why you went to such great lengths to prevent his study tour from going ahead.
Exactly. So, you already knew who Kazuma-sama was, Mr. Sholmes. Oh yes, Sholmes and I have exchanged correspondence for years. I recounted many tales about Asogi to him in my letters, and the news of Dr. Wilson's death, of course.
Oh, she is still here.
So, Dr. Wilson is dead then? I didn't know.
Oh,
Iris. I know he wasn't my daddy, but still. That's very sad. I'm so sorry, Iris. We knew the significance of the name, obviously, but we just couldn't bring ourselves to tell you. No.
Well, what you just told us, Mr. Sholmes, doesn't completely tie in with facts. There's one big hole in your hypothesis.
A big hole, Mr. Naruto? Ah, yes. You mean about Asa Shin, I presume. Oh, of course.
Exactly. She wasn't killed, was she? She was in Japan, poisoning as a visiting student under the assumed name of Giselle Brett.
I'm glad you're keeping up, my dear fellow. But I only became aware of that fact 2 days ago, in the foyer of the Great Waterloo Hotel. And upon hearing that startling revelation, the hypothesis that I formed surrounding those 4 names was completely turned topsy.
What? Topsy? Topsy hypothesis! What do you mean when you say your hypothesis was turned topsy, Mr. Sholmes?
I had believed all 4 names on the list to be the names of victims. However, I was mistaken. Very much so. Asa Shin was the killer. So this telegram is a list of both victims and killers, is it? Indeed! And it would seem that Miss Shin was dispatched for Britain with the sole intention of dispatching Dr. Wilson. Her visiting student status being merely a front. which would of course explain why no motive could be determined for her actions. So the real reason Dr. Wilson was killed by Asa Shin is because he was the target of an assassination, apparently by the government. And for our that knowledge, fresh consideration of this telegram puts the list in a very different perspective. What do you mean? Well, doesn't that strike you? There's another among the four, who subsequently became a visiting student. Wait, you mean... But of course, a name you know only too well. You mean... Kazuma? Oh! He did say in court earlier today.
Yes, on 31st October, I accompanied Inspector Gregson to Dunkirk in order to carry out a mission. And the mission was the assassination of the Mark. Oh, and he was being vague about it. He wasn't telling a lie. He was omitting details. I love it when they do that. He always gets you by surprise.
Young Mr. Asogi accepted that mission a year ago now. Surely not. In conclusion, this document is a contract of sorts. An international agreement, one might say, detailing an assassin exchange.
An assassin exchange?
How could Cosmo possibly have got involved in something like that?
Assassin exchange.
Let's assume that we have two parties, each wishing to dispose of a distinct individual. Those two parties then make a contract to swap their respective assassination targets. That would be an assassin exchange. So to begin with, the British assassin is dispatched as a visiting student to Japan, where she kills her target. And then the Japanese assassin is dispatched as a visiting student to Britain in order to eliminate his target. It certainly does sound like an exchange. But what on earth is the point? Don't forget, Naruto, that the British assassin at least escaped conviction, thanks to diplomatic immunity afforded by consular jurisdiction.
Oh, yes.
Such jurisdiction should be null and void under the terms of the new treaty between our two countries. Though the fact that it was brought into play suggests intervention by the very highest level So the fact that it was brought into play suggests intervention at the very highest level. The highest levels? These matters were two sides of the same coin, linked by not a common motive, but by contractual agreement. As such, they appear utterly unrelated. Yet in truth, the assassins were complicit in one singular devilish scheme. That this association and the safeguard of diplomatic immunity were, I believe, the motivation behind this plot. But wait a minute, Jones. If this telegram really is describing the exchange of assassins you're suggesting, it would mean that the Japanese killer's target was never Seshiro Jigoku at all. It would mean Asogi's target was actually Inspector Gregson. What? Kazuma was here for Gregson? So Judge Jigoku wasn't actually the mark? Yes. That's exactly what we mean. I hold myself personally responsible for failing to keep the inspector safe. Mr. Sholmes. I told him of my fears and implored him to seek a transfer to an overseas position. Obviously, with the young pickpocket in tow.
Yes, Sheena.
Come to think of it, Inspector Gregson did mention that to us at the Great Exhibition. That he'd be transferring to Paris, to the Paris police, and taking Gina with him. But without informing me, he engaged in one last assignment, it seems. And sadly, it turned out to be his very last. Man, I didn't want him to actually be dead. I thought it was gonna be like a big hoax. This is too much to take in. Alright everyone, that's quite enough of all of that serious talk for one day. Isn't Hurley? I mean, look at the time! Ah, quite right, Iris. We must conclude our preparations for tomorrow. What preparations? Well, I think I shall make my way back to my hotel room now. This has certainly been a night to remember. It is a little bit sad though. I mean, I like the idea of you being my daddy. Because then Susie would be my would have been my big sister. I'm sorry, Iris. I know, Iris. I was thinking quite the same thing. Were you? Well, somebody like me would be worthy. But if somebody like me would be worthy, I would be delighted to become your sister. What? Really? Oh yes, without question. So, you'll teach me all the ways you know to throw Runo to the floor. Yes, of course. It would be my pleasure.
You didn't have to agree so readily.
Oh, but wait a minute. If Susie's going to be my big sister, you could be my big brother if you want, Bruno.
Huh? I mean, yes, of course. If you'll have me, I'll gladly be your brother.
Well done, Iris. We must always be mindful of feelings. I phrased you so well.
Because being sensitive is your strong suit, naturally.
Right. I'm going to work extra hard for tomorrow now. Because it's for my big brother and sister.
What is all this talk about preparing for tomorrow? Preparing for what? Preparing what?
You just have to wait and see.
Oh.
Good luck in court tomorrow. I'm expecting a sterling performance.
I'll do my very best, of course. So the overnight break in the trial's proceedings became a crucial turning point, exposing new truths whilst posing new conundrums. That list of 4 names on the telegram in Judge Jigoku's office, and the extraordinary assassination plot in which my best friend has somehow become involved. I felt as though I had been plunged into an even greater darkness than all of a sudden. But at the same time, I felt sure I would see the light again soon. Because I was lucky enough to have the most wonderful family in the world standing steadfastly behind me. To be continued. Alright, surely this is the last part of the trial. 4th November, 9:30 a.m. The Old Bailey courtroom. Oh, we're not going to the antechamber today. Before we begin today, I have a brief announcement. As with the closed trial 10 years ago, some astonishing facts have come to light in these proceedings.
The revelation that the well-known Reaper is actually an organization illegally executing its own brand of justice. And the discovery that a respected yard inspector was at its heart until he himself perished in an assassination plot. Well, I say to all members of the judiciary here present on this occasion that we will stop at nothing to uncover the whole truth behind these disturbing findings. Counsels, you will undertake this trial with the resolve to pursue the truth to the bitter end. Resolve, yes. That's my intention. My lord, if I may inquire, the defendant may speak. On what grounds is Kazuma Sogi permitted to continue in his role as prosecutor? He has admitted to colluding with the victim in a plot to assassinate an innocent man. He shouldn't be enjoying the privilege of freedom, let alone be leading the prosecution. I submitted a written petition to Lord Strongheart, requesting that judgment of my transgression be delayed by 1 day. You did what? In today's proceedings, I intend to expose everything. My whole life, for the last 10 years, has all been leading up to this one day. Kazuma. Whatever the outcome of this trial, I give my word that I will accept whatever punishment is deemed appropriate, however severe. And I suggest you prepare yourself for the same, Reaper. Kazuma is bristling with hostility today. I get the distinct impression we're heading into very dangerous territory. Is that really getting Kazuma-sama stand before us? As an extreme exception to normal practices, I have granted the prosecutor's request. The defense finds this acceptable, I presume. Yes, my lord. In that case, in the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I hereby declare this court to be in session again. We resume the closed hearing of Baroque Van Zieks. The defense is ready, my lord. The prosecution is more than ready. Very well, then. This preamble has taken long enough. Prosecutor Sogi, begin. As you wish, my lord. The prosecution calls the first witness to the stand. Bring Seshiro Jigoku into the courtroom. At last, then, we've reached the final battle. He's putting literally everything on the line, now in order to get to the truth. Come on, Rinosuke. It's time for that steely resolve, because this is going to test it to the limit. Witness, state your name and occupation for the court. Wow. So, it was you who issued this, was it? Your subpoena? I did what was necessary. Ha 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 ha! Well, look what the young man has become. I didn't think I'd see the day when you take that tone with me, I must say. No witness will ensure his responses are pertinent to the questions asked. My name is Seshiro Jigoku, a Supreme Court judge from the Empire of Japan. 16 years ago, this man came to London as a visiting student. 6 years later, he returns to Japan. As well as presiding over the Supreme Court, he is also currently Japan's Minister of Foreign Affairs. I am, of course, fully aware of Mr. Jigoku and his preeminent roles. I invite him personally to the International Forensic Science Symposium as a representative of his country. I hear he also played a key role
in the conclusion of the Anglo-Japanese Treaty of Friendship and Navigation. It was a great honor to be involved in the negotiations. I put my all into that treaty. Goku, I must ask. Well, I never. Fancy the young murdering student turning up here of all places. You acquitted me yourself. And now, I'm a practicing defense lawyer. Yes, and full self-importance, like your friend across the courtroom I see. You came here to London by invitation to the International Forensic Science Symposium. But then, without informing anyone of your plans, you took flight to France. I took flight? I'd have to object to that turn of phrase. Then explain yourself. What exactly were the circumstances? Well, I was somewhat expecting this. And I'm sorry to say, I decline to comment. What? Leaving the country prematurely when I was an invited guest may be a questionable etiquette. But my decision is unrelated to this case. I can't be bound to testify. Unrelated, you say? I appreciate that a respected police inspector has been killed, for which I offer my condolences. However, being an alien, I obviously never met the man, nor do I know the first thing about him. As such, I'm in no position to testify. It's as simple as that. That's a lie. He was the inspector for the professor case, which you testify against. Or for. Against.
So you would run from all of this?
I beg your pardon?
This case is more far-reaching than the murder of Inspector Gregson. It has ties to another murder. A case that was tried in Japan almost a year ago now.
A year ago in Japan? The murder of Dr. John H. Wilson, you mean? That's right. And you, Judge Goku, are at the heart of both cases. The defense has evidence to prove it. Well, Rinosuke, I see from the look in your eyes that you're resolved to carry this through to the very end, too. Let's see your evidence, then. What proof do you have that Sessuro Jigoku is involved in this case?
Take that!
This is a telegram detailing a communication sent between Britain and Japan approximately 1 year ago. The communication contained 4 names. Keisogi, A. Shin, T. Gregson, and J. Wilson. Hold it! You little... Where did you get that? In Tokyo. From your office, Judge Jigoku. What? How on earth did you... What's this all about? Why is my name on that list? This list of 4 names follows a certain pattern. T. Gregson and J. Wilson are the names of victims. Keisogi and A. Shin are the names of assassins. No. A year ago in Tokyo, Dr. John H. Wilson's life was taken in a Western-style restaurant in the capital. The culprit was found to be a visiting student who went by the name of Giselle Brett, but her real name was Asa Shin, a professional killer sent on a mission to kill from Great Britain.
A. Shin and her victim, J. Wilson.
And the murder that just took place here in London
was the counterpart to that crime. An assassin sent from Japan, also a visiting student, Kazuma Asogi. Whose victim was the British police inspector, Tobias Gregson. K. Asogi and T. Gregson, one assassin from each country to kill a target residing in the other.
What exactly is the defense suggesting?
These two cases of murder, one that took place in Britain and one in Japan, were masterminded by a pair of individuals from each country as a form of assassin exchange. And the telegram the defense has acquired is proof of this international contract to kill.
What?
The telegram was found in your office, Judge Goku. In other words, the mastermind in Japan was you.
Judge Goku? What's this all about?
And you, Kazuma, you lied. During yesterday's proceedings, you acknowledged that you'd accepted the assassination mission. But the mark wasn't Judge Jigoku at all. It was T. Gregson, Detective Inspector of Scotland Yard, as shown by the name on the killing contract.
Very impressive, Rinosuke. But actually, I didn't lie. The name of the target I was ordered to kill never passed my lips yesterday. The idea that Sessho Jigoku was the mark came entirely from you.
Yep.
Deception by omission.
Ah! You deliberately avoided saying a name.
The defense claimed these 4 names indicate some sort of international assassin exchange. I'm sure I speak for all present when I say that the very idea seems utterly absurd. Well, Mr. Jigoku, what do you have to say for yourself?
His silence
Only goes to prove his guilt.
There's another very important point that this new development brings to light. There's now a distinct possibility that the scene of Inspector Gregson's actual murder was in the witness's cabin aboard the SS Grouse.
Judge Jigoku, you have to testify now. If you refuse, would put you in contempt of court. Ha 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 ha! There's no need for quite such a vicious stare, young man. Very well then. As a parting gift to you all, I'll tell you everything I know. It seems this Japanese gentleman has information that the court must hear about the alleged assassin exchange and the events of the night of the 31st October. Present your formal testimony now. As you wish, my lord.
With the testimony, this has exchange.
It's true that Kazuma Asogi was assigned the assassination mission 1 year ago now. The target was Inspector T. Gregson. That was a condition of the British State War. However, in the end, something happened that meant the young man was unable to carry out his mission. On the evening in question, a member of the crew was on duty outside my cabin at all times. If there had been a shot fired, the crewman would have heard it. So clearly I can't be involved.
So you admit then, as this communication suggests. there really was an assassination exchange agreement between Britain and Japan.
A political endeavor at the highest levels. Not something I can discuss here.
To use such a worthy practice as foreign study to coerce somebody to commit murder is the most appalling thing I've ever heard.
Appalling? Well, it's easy to judge.
Pardon?
So he had a reason for taking his sword to that British inspector you know.
What?
Which is why he accepted the mission in the first place. Isn't that right, Council?
Kazuma-sama?
Judge Goku, if you are the mastermind behind this operation in Japan, then tell the court the identity of your counterpart in Britain. I'm not obliged to divulge that information. As I said yesterday, I've killed nobody. I freely admit that I accepted the mission, but on the night the plan was to be executed, I backed out. In short, this assassin exchange that the defense has identified is unrelated to the events of this case. The crucial point is this. Your police inspector can't have perished aboard the steamship in Dunkirk. Because if he had been shot in the cabin, it's inconceivable that a member of the crew wouldn't have heard it. That's right. Gregson was killed after returning to London, in the room on Fresno Street. And the perpetrator of the crime was the Reaper, Barack Van Zeeks. The prosecution's accusations remain unchanged. To think that a seemingly innocent foreign exchange program was a facade for such Machiavellian dealings. Clearly a ploy only a government minister and a high-ranking judge, such as the witness, could hope to execute. Well, I seem to recall that it was someone on the British side who controlled everything. Be that as it may, it is not the place of this court to pursue this villainous assassin exchange plot. We are concerned only with the tangible events pertaining to the murder of Inspector Gregson. Is the defense clear on that point, counsel? Oh, he's too eager to get away from this. Kinda sus. As always. Yes, my lord. I'll keep that in mind as I cross-examine the witness. God damn it. The pull tab fell off. Without opening the bag. Absolute betrayal of engineering. God damn, I forgot how much moisture it took from my mouth. Like a sponge. Alright. The assassin exchange. It's true that Kazuma Sogi was assigned the assassination mission 1 year ago now.
Hold it!
A year ago, when Kazuma was still in Japan then. Correct. It was at the examination center for applicants for the study tour that I approached him. I'll never forget it. I remember exactly what you said. Hey, one killer guy. You just came out and asked me, forthright, if I'd consider traveling to Britain on an assassination mission.
Surely not.
I thought it was a joke at first, of course. But then, it was made clear to me that if I didn't accept, I wouldn't be considered for the study tour. So you agreed to it? Just for that? I mean, I know how much you want to study in England, but assassination? The Empire of Japan had accepted a proposal from the British Empire at the time. An agreement to send a student from each country to the others to deepen cultural understanding and friendship. But behind the scenes, the chosen students were to be given assassination missions. I had no choice but to accept the proposal that originated from my British counterpart.
Why? Why didn't you expose the plot there and then?
Britain acknowledges no part in these alleged misbegotten dealings. I advise you not to make spurious allegations. Foreign Minister Jigoku. As a witness, I'm about to tell the truth, my lord. Anyway, I picked Asogi and explained the details of the plan to him. The target was Inspector T. Gregson. That was a condition of the British State War.
Hold it!
Why Kazuma? Why did you pick him as the assassin? He was the most capable of all the applicants, and in addition, I knew his desire to travel to Britain was very strong. In fact, it was almost more than a desire. It was his whole purpose in life. Yes, as his best friend, I can certainly attest to that. The way he threw himself into his studies, the way he pursued becoming qualified as a lawyer. It was all ultimately for that one single goal of being accepted on a study tour to Britain.
And of course, we know the reason behind that. He was determined to find out for himself the truth about his father, Asogi.
There's nothing I wouldn't have done to get here. Be that agreeing to assume the role of an assassin, betray people's trust. Well, you certainly did a fine job of betraying mine, Asogi. But why was Inspector Gregson the target? I have no idea. Those were the orders from Britain. I was in no position to question them. You have no idea? Really? I find that hard to believe. Oh, do you?
Daigyakuten was once a visiting student here in Britain himself, of course. Perhaps he had some connection with Inspector Gregson from that time.
The defense really ought to catch up. With what? With the fact that the assassin exchange has absolutely nothing to do with the case under scrutiny here. Yes, I've already admitted to recruiting Asogi. However, in the end, something happened that meant the young man was unable to carry out his mission.
Hold it!
I presume you're referring to the incident that occurred during Kazuma's passage to Britain in January. The awful tragedy that took place on the steamship. Word arrived at the ministry some 2 weeks after the ship's departure from our shores. The visiting student had been killed, but his body had somehow gone missing in Hong Kong. The news was wired to me from a detective I'd placed on the ship to accompany the assassin. Obviously, Kazuma didn't actually die at all. But he did lose his memory, including all details about his special mission. Did you not consider dispatching another assassin at that point? That wasn't possible, simply because that black-clad young student over there had already put himself forward as the Sogi's replacement, and there was no way to stop him from reaching Britain. Ah. My hands were completely tied.
So Mr. Shom's strategy worked perfectly. He predicted everything that would happen.
Months later, my memory returned. But I never intended to go through with the assassination mission anyway. So, you were playing me right from the outset, were you? Is that it? I'd sooner be guilty of that crime than taking someone else's life. I was prepared to do whatever I had to in order to get myself here to Britain. This line of questioning has gone on long enough. All the court should be concerned about in the testimony given by this witness are details relating to his relationship with Inspector Gregson and the victim's murder. In that case, as I've already made perfectly clear, I had no connection to the man or his death. And you have some means of substantiating this plea. On the evening in question, a member of the crew was on duty outside my cabin at all times.
Wait, did we get the bullet hole as evidence?
Nope.
Hold it! Outside your cabin in the first class area of the SS Grouse, you mean?
Yes, that's right.
Take another bite, give me a second.
Yes, that's right. Not least because there was a murder of a student passenger earlier in the year, I imagine. The liner operators have taken to posting a crewman outside every first-class cabin door. I can confirm the presence of the crewman guard myself.
What do you mean?
Because I accompanied Inspector Gregson to Dunkirk that night. I witnessed it with my own eyes. There was a well-built crewman standing guard directly in front of the door to the witness's cabin. At that particular time, of course, I'd gone to the ship's dining room for dinner. The inspector and I asked the crewman to allow us into the cabin while we waited for Judge Goku's return. I suppose Inspector Gregson was there in his capacity as the Reaper. He was intending to take the witness's life. Exactly. As I've said numerous times now, I had no intention of killing anyone. So the crewman let two potential assassins into the cabin he was supposed to be guarding. Not the most convincing of centuries, really. In truth, those were my thoughts too. But anyway, I stayed to talk with Inspector Gregson for a short while. And then I left him there and made my way off the ship alone.
Was the guard still at the door when you went?
Yes. He glared at me as I walked past. You see? You see? That proves it. If there had been a shot fired, the crewman would have heard it. So clearly I can't be involved.
Hold it!
The crewman who was standing directly outside your cabin door, you mean? That's right. A muscular man with a permanent grin expression on his face. A permanent grim expression on his face. He didn't once move from that spot. To be honest, I thought he was a miserable fellow. But as it happens, he's a vital witness now. There's no doubt that Gregson was killed by a gunshot, and it's inconceivable that a crewman standing just outside the cabin door wouldn't have heard it. I don't think it's a bit like watertight. Would not be surprised to soundproof.
But wait, what about the ship's enormous steam engines?
How that trigger my eyes? Alright.
The noise of them could have been drowned out. The noise of them could have drowned out the sound of the gun being fired.
Sadly, young judicial assistant, that won't wash.
Oh,
You will recall that my cabin was in the first class area of the ship, which is also, of course, the quietest. Don't imagine for a moment that it's anything like steerage where the judicial assistants go.
I didn't mean.
But a hole like that was made. But a hole like that made by a bullet was found in your cabin, Judge Goku. That's compelling evidence that that gun was fired in there. Was that a bullet hole? Oh yes. You're talking about what the detective uncovered in the wall yesterday, I presume? That was obviously a Russian panel eaten out by a woodworm. No doubt he didn't find an actual bullet. That's the hole in this argument. Sadly, I was only able to arrange for the crewmen to be brought back to Britain with me. But obviously, if a gun had been fired in my cabin on the night in question, as the event implies, I would have been arrested on the spot, and would never have made it to Britain in the first place. Very true. The witness's logic is sound. Since no gunshot was heard from the witness's cabin on the night in question, we must assume that the witness is telling the truth. I'm glad you've seen sense, my lord. I know Kazuma's already admitted to taking on this incredible assassination plot, but even so, hearing it confirmed by somebody else is a real shock. It's still a real shock.
It's unforgivable. Using Kazuma-sama's feelings to manipulate him into agreeing to such a despicable plan.
But I think Kazuma manipulated Judge Goku too. He completely double-crossed him.
Oh dear, it's hard not to see that as a stroke of brilliance on Kazuma-sama's part.
Or, one way or another. One way or another, though, Gregson ended up dead. I really think that the murder must have happened aboard that ship. Steamship.
So you mean...
Judge Goku must be lying.
I know I shouldn't let my emotions cloud my judgment. But you must destroy him, Mr. Naruto. Oh, the evacuation thing. There wasn't any group. Wait, can I read it? Actually, I never read it. Let's see. Evacuation drill notice, 31st October. Following the departure from the port of Dunkirk, all crew members are required to assemble on the main deck at 10 p.m. in order to review evacuation procedures. The drill would take 20 minutes. Crew to resume duties as soon as the drill is over. There's a 20-minute period where no one's there.
Objection!
Yes, as the court has heard, there was a crewman posted outside Judge Goku's cabin. However, we can be sure that, contrary to the witness's claim, the guard wasn't there at all times. What? I have here a notice of a particular event that was scheduled to take place aboard the steamship on the 31st.
What? Where did you get that?
It's evidence gathered by Mr. Herlock Sholmes. You were acquainted yesterday, if you remember.
Herlock Sholmes again.
According to this itinerary, after leaving the port of Dunkirk at exactly 10 p.m., and for a period of 20 minutes, all crewmen of the SS Grouse were to gather on deck for an evacuation drill.
All crewmen were away from their posts?
And during that 20-minute interval, of course, any gunshots emanating from your cabin would have been heard by no one. In summary, Judge Jigoku, you had ample opportunity to commit the crime.
Ugh.
Objection!
A 20-minute window of opportunity. That's an excellent find, Rinosuke. But it amounts to nothing.
Why?
Because the witness clearly stated in his testimony that no incident occurred in his cabin. Unless you have some decisive evidence that can show his testimony to be false. Your accusations is nothing more than conjecture. Very true. Well, counsel?
Inspector Grixon was killed in Judge Goku's cabin that night. I'm certain of it. Because the defense has evidence to prove it.
You will present the evidence for the defense. At once, counsel. What proof do you have that the victim's life was taken in Jigoku's cabin on the 31st of October?
I assume the small component.
Take that!
Judge Jigoku, this was found in your cabin yesterday.
What is that? The crown of a pocket watch? Oh, a pocket watch!
And if you will observe, the victim's pocket watch, which we know he treasured, is missing precisely that part.
It can't be.
Moreover, this crown is a perfect fit on the spindle protruding from the victim's watch. Now, the fact that this was retrieved from Judge Jigoku's cabin tells us that the victim's watch almost certainly broke there. In other words, the victim was killed on the 31st during the 20-minute evacuation drill. In the cabin occupied by you, Judge Jigoku.
Well, you're rather sharp, aren't you? You young murderer.
Objection!
Expertly maneuvered, Rinosuke. And your argument sounds entirely plausible. At first. But rather like this pocket watch, it's full of cracks. What? And I believe Judge Goku feels the same way. I was wrong to acquit you earlier in the year. Sorry? That doesn't sound right. If I'd known that it would result in anyone having to listen to this drivel, I would have declared you guilty, just to spare the world your ridiculous bombast. I think it's clear that the witness will have to give further testimony. When you hear what actually happened in my cabin that night, you'll notice the pitfall into which you stumbled. Prior to your renewed testimony, I would like to clarify one point. The fact that this part of the victim's watch was discovered in your cabin means that you acknowledge he was there, I presume? Yes, I do. Very well then. You may proceed to give your formal testimony about what exactly happened in your cabin aboard the ship on the evening of the 31st October. Of course. As a man of the law, I have no intention of obstructing justice. Man, I can't trust no one. With testimony, the events of the cabin. I had a guest waiting for me when I returned to my cabin after finishing my evening meal in the dining room. When I walked through the door, a mustachioed gentleman Englishman was there, foolishly waving a gun at me. I soon took care of him with an Ippon Seal's throat, though. He couldn't wait to run away after that. I imagine his watch broke when I threw him over my shoulder. It has nothing to do with his murder. The inspector was clearly killed, having returned to Britain, because his body was found in London. Ippon Seo, a common jujutsu martial arts technique in my country. I was careful not to use too much force, but the man obviously landed too heavily for his watch to take. So, Renosuke Naruhodo, I imagine you can see the flaw in your logic now, can't you? What? No, I'm really confused. I guess? Didn't tell us that he was murdered there? The fact that the pocket watch was broken in the witness's cabin in no way proves that the victim's murder took place in there. Ah! I have no doubt the inspector intended to kill me, but he didn't manage to pull the trigger. Yes, because he was merely the tactician, not the Reaper's hand of death. Well, the testimony appears to make perfect sense as far as I can tell. Because you're a fool. Let me express my deep gratitude for your understanding, my lord. If this testimony holds, Judge Goku will be deemed to have no involvement in the case. Well, counsel, I really see no reason for wasting precious court time here on our cross-examination. Sorry, my lord. The defense had the right to cross-examine, and I don't intend to squander that. You're an embarrassment to your countrymen, not knowing when you're beaten. In that case, proceed, Mr. Naruhodo. Cross-examination. The events in the cabin. I had a guest waiting for me when I returned to my cabin after finishing my evening meal in the dining room.
Hold it!
Because the so-called guard posted at your cabin door had just let your killer pass, you mean? Apparently, Gregson told the crewman he was a police inspector, which was the truth, of course.
He wouldn't have had his identification with him, though.
He had his trench coat and mustache, not to mention the bag of chips. I imagine the crewman was convinced.
But the man accompanying him would have had 2 swords slung around his waist.
You mean me?
Who else?
Yes, that's true. You would hope the sight of a few swords might have set off alarm bells in the guard's head. The point is, I left the cabin before its occupant returned, and I immediately disembarked the ship. Certainly, all I can tell you is that only the inspector was waiting for me when I arrived back in my cabin. And you entered without any inkling of suspicion. That's right, none whatsoever. When I walked through the door, a mustachioed Englishman was there, foolishly waving a gun at me.
Hold it!
Obviously, you're talking about the Inspector Gregson?
Yes, though at the time I didn't know the man's name. And there was no time for introductions. I value my life over manners.
By which you mean that the inspector was there to assassinate you, I suppose?
That was certainly the impression given by the gun pointing in my direction. But I never seen the muzzle of a revolver shake about so much in all my life. Anyone would think the man had never shot at somebody before.
Believe it or not, most of us haven't.
Anyway, there was no time to call for help. For the help of the crewman at the door, so I dealt with the man myself. So I soon took care of him with an Ippon steel throw, though he couldn't wait to run away after that.
Hold it!
Even though the man had a gun? That was a very brave move, wasn't it?
Ha 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 ha! A Ippon steel is far faster than a bullet, I can assure you.
But surely all that commotion caused the crewman to come in, didn't it?
Yes, of course. He burst in immediately without knocking. The inspector hurled himself at the stocky fellow, and managed to slip past him to make his escape.
The outstanding guard does it again.
Luckily, there aren't many situations I can't get out of using a quick Ippon steel throw. I imagine his watch was broken when I threw him over my shoulder. It has nothing to do with his murder.
Hold it!
The crown snapped off, and the glass covering the face of the watch was cracked.
Preferable to the man's head being pulled off or his spine cracking, wouldn't you say?
Not that the man was spared for long. A bullet to the chest soon saw to that. But the point is, the broken pocket watch doesn't prove that a murder took place.
Absolutely not. All the watch proves is the power of my jujitsu throw.
Whatever you say, it doesn't quite ring true that no shot was fired in that cabin. Because there was an obvious bullet hole in the wall.
Ha 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 ha! What are you talking about? That's what the star of your lowbrow detective stories told you, is it? Well, I don't care for such fiction. Haven't you worked it out yet, you little stripling? No murder took place in my cabin. The inspector was clearly killed having returned to Britain because his body was found in London.
Hold it!
But there's no evidence to proves that the victim ever returned to London alive.
Just take a moment to think the idea of you are through now, stripling.
What?
If the inspector was killed on the steamship in France, how on earth could he have got back to Britain? When people die, their bodies remain at that same spot. It's a devil of a thing.
Well, then obviously the culprit must have moved the body.
How exactly? Carry a corpse off a ship in your arms would raise a few eyebrows at least, don't you think?
Well, yes, that's true, but... All passenger luggage is inspected when it is unloaded from arriving vessels. And I would like to think that the border police would quarry the corpse of an English gentleman as a hand luggage. If the murder had taken place aboard the ship, you would imagine the body would have been disposed of at sea. There would be no sense in risking being caught by attempting to transport the body back to Britain. That's killed that idea then.
But perhaps not.
Mrs. Sato?
We've heard that the first-class passengers were under constant scrutiny of the crewmen posted to guard them. Which would mean that the culprit had no opportunity to dispose of the body at sea.
Yes, that's true. So transporting the body to Britain may have been the only viable alternative.
Dear me, you really are new to this, aren't you? I thought I'd been perfectly clear, but it seems I'm going to have to explain in words you can understand. I think I ought to alter my testimony, with your consent, of course, my lord.
I have no objection. State your amended testimony now. Oh, well, thank you for helping me.
There's no possible way I could have transported the victim's corpse back to Britain.
Hold it!
There's an idea.
Think about it, stripling. All passengers and crew disembark at the same time and pass through the same checks at the border. The symposium guests were then driven straight to the hotel in carriages organized by the ministry.
And we met you as soon as you arrived at the hotel.
So you did? Well then, remind me, did I have a corpse over my shoulder at the time?
What? No. Wait. Yes. It was there. You're wearing him as a jacket. How could I have been so blind? I thought I was just off my guard. What? No.
So we're in agreement then. I couldn't possibly have brought the inspector's body back to Britain. Unless, of course, they developed some clever device these days that to instantly move things from A to B.
Funny you should say that.
Professor Harebrain's invention didn't actually work, if you remember, Mr. Naruto.
Yes, of course. The fence has become unusually quiet, I noticed.
Yes, because there's really nothing more to say.
So that's his story. Well, I already know that... Because Mikotoba told us that being a Minister of Foreign Affairs, he has such a privilege not to get his bags checked. So I'm assuming he just filled the case full of ice. So that's his story.
Well, I suppose if you think about it, whenever you drop a teacup in the office and it breaks, we don't say Mr. Naruhodo must have been murdered there, do we?
Is that a veiled threat about what might happen to me if I break another one?
And the fact is that Inspector Grayson's body was found in the little room on Fresno Street. If he really was killed in Judge Kuku's cabin,
The body would have to have been moved somehow, obviously. Transporting a dead body over a country border. That would be impossible for the majority of people. So there must be some special circumstances that made it possible for the culprit then. That could be a vital realization, I think, Miss Naruto. Do we have anything that says that he doesn't need to go through border security?
It's this trunk, isn't it? Grayson's in this picture. Grayson's right here. Okay, I'm gonna save it here. We'll continue this on tomorrow. We're getting close to the end. I feel his testimony crumbling at its core. It's actually like really obvious right now. It's kind of scary. But until then, thank you everyone who joined me today, and I'll see you all next time. Bye bye.